So, as I had mentioned, we will have the 10 days here, Amsterdam to Antwerp. So what's really, really fantastic about this, again, is the ability to go to Amsterdam. Now, if you use Viking's Air, and we have the best air contracts in the industry, I can guarantee you that you'd be hard pressed to find better airfare, although Christy, I'm sure, will try for you. But if you do use our airfare, the good news about that is the transfers are included. So you will arrive in Amsterdam, you will get your transfers, whether you're doing a pre or a post extension. I personally like the pre extensions because of one reason and one reason only. It gets you acclimated to the time zone. So you'll be touring the city on your own, and then you'll be able to take the cruise. By the time you get on the cruise, you're acclimated. So we'll talk about those pre and post extensions. But what I want to do for a minute here is talk a little bit about Amsterdam. You'll have the ability, even if you just fly into Amsterdam on day one, to have an overnight there. So you'll have the afternoon to relax and explore the city on your own. And I really, really recommend you visit some of the museums. So you've got the Rijksmuseum, you've got the Van Gogh Museum. There are more museums in Amsterdam than there are anywhere else in the world. One of the museums is the Anne Frank House, and this is certainly pull on your heartstrings, there's no doubt about it. If you choose you want to go to the Anne Frank House, I'm going to show you a quick picture here of what the museum looks like. This is the entrance. There's a line that wraps around the building, so please, whatever you do, make sure that you make a reservation in advance so that you don't have to wait online for it. But circling back to this fabulous picture, Amsterdam is a city that's made up of all these different canals. It actually started as a fishing village under Spain's control for a very long time. And then when it became independent, it became a very strong naval power. And now today it's one of Europe's largest financial and trade centers. So there's a lot going on there. And you'll notice these homes. One of the things you'll notice in Amsterdam are all these canals. There's over 15, or rather 1,200 bridges. The oldest bridge is called the Skinny Bridge. So you'll have to make sure that you walk over the Skinny Bridge. But you'll also be able to take canal cruises. We have lots of tours for you to embark on as well. But notice these residences that I'm showing you here in this picture. The interesting thing about Amsterdam is from a tax perspective, back in the day, you were only taxed on the size of your plot. And so what happened is all the homes are built up. So you'll see how many levels one home can be. And traditionally, also back in the day, there was a merchant store on the bottom. And so you'll see when you're going through all these fascinating streets of Amsterdam, lots of different architecture, but also these really cool residences. And bicycles galore. Be careful where you're walking. So again, you're going to need to make sure you hit some of those fantastic museums, make your Anne Frank reservation house, Anne Frank House reservation, and also take part of some of these really fantastic canals. If you're really daring, you can go to the red light district, but that's totally up to you. So while you're on this journey and why you're picking possibly the Tulips and Windmills tour is because you want to see the flowers. So you clearly have an interest in gardening or these gorgeous flowers. So the best time to go, we start these tours in late March and they go through essentially spring. But really, if you want to try to hit it right, try to hit it around mid to late April. This way, if there's any cold winters that take place, you are sure to see these gorgeous tulips, daffodils. You will have an array of flowers. And what we're looking at here is the picturesque Keukenhof Gardens. So this is the world's largest floral garden. This is what you're going for, okay? So you'll be able to really admire all these beautiful flowers. There's a beautiful indoor and outdoor exhibits of millions and millions of these really beautiful, vibrant blooms. There's also a lot of optional tours, like I had said, that you can take part on. And I really want to make sure you either do that pre or post extension, or make sure you really line up everything you want to experience while you're in Amsterdam, whether it's on the front or the back end. The beauty of cruising in general is the fact that you only have to really truly pack once and unpack once for the actual cruise portion. So it's not like a traditional land tour where you're, going from city to city, maybe 1 night here, 2 nights there, 3 nights there, and having to pack and unpack. For me, that is the epic nightmare of travel. So that is why I have chose to go into the cruise business. On day 3 of this fantastic journey, because you're going to have the overnight in Amsterdam, which is terrific, you will actually be able to go to Hoorn in the Netherlands. And I just want to say that you'll arrive, here sort of in the early morning, because you're going to sail from Amsterdam. And this is a really neat ancient shipping village, okay? And you'll have beautiful breakfast on board. One of the things that we always make sure we do is allow for you to have time to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner on board if you choose. If you choose to stay in port and have lunch, you can, but we will always make sure there's an option to bring you back to have your meals on board. So you'll start with breakfast, and then you're going to do a walking tour. And one of the things that Viking does, remember I had mentioned that Viking way of exploration, going behind the scenes in these really neat destinations, is that we, on some itineraries, and not many, we offer a home visit. And we actually have a local home visit here in Hoorn. So you'll have a great walking tour where you'll be able to experience this incredibly charming city of Hoorn and by foot. And then you'll be able to visit with a local family. So of course you can see this is obviously a seafaring and maritime village, right? And again, beautiful cobblestone streets, lots of the hustle and the bustle of a trade scene is going on here in Hoorn. And you'll see a lot of beautiful historic buildings. Oh my gosh, they're so colorful. There's museums if you want to check them out. There's of course, buildings dating back to 1609 that you will take a peek in. And you'll, of course, be able to experience amazing cheese warehouses, because where are you? In the Netherlands. So you get to eat delicious cheese, and then you'll be able to go on the local home tour, where you'll get the really unique opportunity to get acquainted to the city and then to a local home in that city. We also have an optional tour here, which you can go visit the world's largest glass greenhouse and learn all about its sustainability, everything that it produces. It's a family-owned company, so it's a really fun tour if you're into that. Again, I'm assuming you're into some level of gardening if you're taking this journey with us. And they also are known for their signature orange pepper. So you'll be able to have the opportunity to taste that and enjoy tea and coffee and all that fun stuff. So remember this, I don't know if anybody has had a stroopwafel. They are amazing. They're this little waffle filled with caramel. And what happens is in the Netherlands, you put that waffle, which is circular disc, I wish I had a picture of it, on top of a coffee cup. You can actually get these on Amazon and in some stores if you want. And you let it melt a little, and it is the most delicious, delightful, tasty thing. So please make sure. And of course, the ones you're getting on Amazon aren't going to taste like the ones you'd experience here in Hoorn. So make sure that you do that as well. There's also a Dutch countryside trip to another tulip farm with windmills, and you can learn all about those windmills as well. So lots to see in Hoorn, lots of optional tours, and of course that included tour with that local home visit, which is really special. So on day 4, we end up in Arnhem, which is also in the Netherlands. And we'll arrive early here today as well. So that gives you a lot of time to relax, have your breakfast, and then take in the city. There's lots of green parks and gardens. Again, all these beautiful flowers and lush gardens that you'll be experiencing. And there's a lot of wartime history as well here in Arnhem. In fact, the included tour is Operation Market Garden. So this is where you'll actually go and experience crucial wartime operation. And it was the basis of a Richard Attenborough film. I don't know if anybody saw that film, but what happened here is on September 17th in 1944, the Allied paratroopers landed near Arnhem. And the plan was called Operation Market Garden, which was to take the main bridges of Arnhem and push Germany out and defeat, obviously, Hitler. But unfortunately, the Germans were waiting, and the operation failed, of course, costing many, many lives. And the film, which you may have heard, A Bridge Too Far, that is what this film is called. And that's exactly what happened today on September 17th in 1944, where the plan unfortunately failed. So A Bridge Too Far would be a film that you likely want to watch before you actually go on this included tour in Arnhem. We also have an amazing museum and sculpture garden as an optional tour, which is the second largest collection of paintings by Van Gogh. So you may have the opportunity to go to the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam, and then here you'll see another wide array of his paintings. So it's really, truly an extraordinary museum. There's the Open Air Museum, which is where you'd witness 200 years of Dutch life at this living museum of where you'll learn all about these traditional villages, the crafts, agriculture. And then for those of you that are really, really active, we have a bike tour. So there's always lots of ways that we want you to take these destinations. If you can't go full-fledged on a walking tour, or if you don't want something that's too active, then we have a way to see these destinations that way. But if you want to get active, we also include some really fun bike tours as well. So next up, on day 5, we head to Kinderdijk. What's really, really cool about Kinderdijk is it's filled with over 19 working windmills. We also do this tour on our Rhine getaway. So the lovely couple that I believe I heard earlier that did the Rhine getaway, you likely went to Kinderdijk. And it's really neat because they're working windmills, and some are occupied by families. And the families actually take part in making sure that these windmills operate successfully. And it's a huge undertaking, right? Because this whole region, as I had mentioned earlier, has the ability to flood. So this is really how the windmills and the dikes and all this is really controlling the flooding in this region. This is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And if you're active, you can experience it by bike if you'd like. Included is the actual tour, but you can do the Kinderdijk windmills by bike, or we have a really, really neat optional tour, that's Kinderdijk by vintage barge. So that is a very unique experience of these windmills that you'll do by an exclusive boat tour, and you'll actually visit one of the oldest Kinderdijk windmills. There's also a farm visit here in Kinderdijk if you want to learn all about Dutch cheese making as well as the windmills. You'll go out into the countryside and learn about the cheeses, of course, get to taste them. And so there's some really neat opportunities here in Kinderdijk for you that go way beyond just the windmills. And then day 6, we finally make ourselves to Belgium. And here you'll go to Antwerp. And this is really, there's only a very few amount of Viking itineraries that include Belgium. So I think this is really special about this tour. So you'll arrive, of course, in the morning, because remember I said the goal is to make sure you have as much time as we can give you in the destination. You'll have a half-day tour of Antwerp that's included. You'll see this beautiful historic quarter up close, and you'll be able to walk it by foot, of course. These, again, remember I said, are always fully guided. So any of the tours that you take with Viking are fully guided. We also have in our stateroom something called a quiet box. And I know my Vikings on the line are going to say, yes, I love it. It's my favorite thing. You put a little earpiece in your ear and you don't have to be on the heels of your tour guide. You actually can step back 10, 15 feet, take your leisurely stroll, your photo opportunities, and still always hear what the tour guide's saying. You charge them every night in your stateroom. So here, when you're walking through Antwerp, you'll actually see the Cathedral of Our Lady, a vision of true Gothic beauty. She is the largest church in Belgium, and she's also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And one of its spires stands over 404 feet high. So another tour, the Rhine Getaway, you go to Cologne and you actually experience the Dom, which is a church there, which is one of the oldest churches in Germany. And you can actually go into the spires of the Dom. So it's really, when you go into these cities and you see these beautiful churches, whether they're Baroque, Romanesque architecture, Gothic architecture, it's like something we really don't often see here in the Americas. So you'll go to the historic old town of Antwerp. There's very much, they're all crooked streets. You'll go to the market. You'll see the Renaissance town hall. And there's a lot of Flemish and Italian influences in this area. So, and also some other UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So really some terrific architecture for you to see, including the medieval castle that was built after the Vikings came into the city, and it was the first stone fortress. So again, lots of things. You can take a foodie tour if you love culinary experiences. We have a food tour here in Antwerp called the Flavors of Antwerp. If you want to opt into any of the optional tours, please make sure you speak with Christy about getting those booked way in advance, because they sell out. And then you'll be at the mercy of if someone cancels out of it while you're on board, or if for so it happens that there's 1 or 2 slots open. But I really, really want to make sure that you understand it's so important to plan these journeys out way in advance. You'll always have the opportunity to do the included tour, but say you want to do an optional tour. If you're like me, I pack in the whole day with tours because I love a guided tour. I love that, taking that work out of it and really getting to see the destinations fully. So on day 7, we're going to head to another small village town, if you will, Ghent. And this is a really neat college town. And it became one of the richest cities in Northern Europe. And from Ghent, here you'll travel to the Bruges, the Battle of the Bruges, right? So there's always a lot of that World War II history here as well that takes place on these tours. So you'll be able to go and travel to the Bruges, which is one of the oldest towns in Flanders. And you'll do a city tour where you'll walk through, of course, its cultural district, the artistic center. You'll see the museums. There's a famous painter, Memling. I don't know if the painter rings a bell to you or not. You'll also see a beautiful Béjunage. I can never pronounce it correctly, but it's a hidden courtyard inhabited by nuns. And this town also has a lot of canals. So with this network of canals, there's all these fantastic little bridges, as you can see in this picture. It's really fantastic. So you can either opt to stay in Bruges for your lunch, or if you want to return to Ghent and have lunch on board, you'll have the opportunity to do that. And then explore Ghent, which is, again, another canal network in East Flanders. So you have a lot of options. There's also the Flanders Fields, which is an optional tour where you see all the highlights of the Bruges, and then you'll also go to the battlefield. So if you have an interest in history, I would always recommend to go above and beyond and do those optional tours where you get to really go and see these battlefields and commemorate along with your fellow Vikings and the tour guides to learn all about what happened at Flanders Fields. So that's another optional tour there again. Then on day 8, we head to Zeeland in the Netherlands. I don't know if anybody here likes oysters, but this is where you can shuck an oyster and try some of these delicious oysters. So we'll be in Zeeland again in the morning, which is really terrific. And you'll be able to really explore this region, which is formerly an island of the southwest Netherlands. So you can see here how gorgeous and metropolitan and actually cosmopolitan this city feels. And so you'll be able to go and travel to the Delta Works, which is a system of enormous stores that can be lowered during spring tides to protect the area from flooding. Again, all that flooding comes into play and all the ingenuity that has been created here in this region to protect the land. So you'll be able to experience that. You'll get to go to the local oyster farm if you like, shuck and try some oysters, and then you can have lunch on board the ship. So we have the included tour is the city tour and the Delta Works, but we also, for my foodies on the line that really, really want to go in and savor that taste of the local oysters and learn all about the culinary industry of the region, we have a best of flavors of Holland optional tour. Then our tour ends and we head back to Amsterdam, again giving you that extra night here. So what I wanted to let you know is, because you do have that overnight on the way in and the way out, if for you only can get away for say 10 days, it truly isn't that you truly will lose a significant time in Amsterdam, because you do have the Amsterdam overnight on the front and the back end. So you can really see a lot of the city if you are not able to do the extension. We have introduced new to Viking the Holland and Belgium tour, which is very similar to where we were, including a couple other cities like Maastricht, which is, again, oh my gosh, the bicycles in Maastricht is just insane. So we do have the Holland and Belgium tour that runs all year round. So if you wanted to make sure you got a little of Antwerp and that area, we can offer this to you as well. And you don't have to be super focused on just going to during the tulip season. Now, the Romantic Danube is another very, very popular tour, Regensburg to Budapest, with a pre or post extension in Prague, which I totally recommend. I love the Danube. This is one of my favorite rivers and a really terrific river, really giving you the opportunity to experience Prague, Budapest, and then of course my favorite, Vienna, and then these amazing small cities along the Rhine in Germany and Austria. You'll have abbeys on this tour. You'll have 10th, 11th, 12th century architecture, cities that were destroyed in World War II and cities that weren't. And then of course we have the Rhine Getaway, which is Amsterdam to Basel, Switzerland, where you'll have the opportunity to go all the way down the Rhine River, a fantastic itinerary that also includes the Black Forest. So if you like cuckoo clocks. This is something that you should really look at. So we have the Rhine and the Danube being a really first time very popular rivers. Our Viking longships are 190 passengers. They are so easy to navigate. And let me tell you, it's like a little small floating boutique hotel, all done in our signature Scandinavian design, which is just so bright and airy. I love, love, love this design for river ship cruising, especially because the ships are narrow. So to me, being in light, bright filled spaces is so much better than being in closed, dark, wood, mahogany spaces. So I absolutely love this Scandinavian design. This is where you would be boarding and all your tours would be happening out right of the atrium of the picture I just showed you. The restaurant is where you eat all of your meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Open seating, so get there early or don't get there early. You'll be seated with fabulous people that are like-minded to you. Also, by the way, 47% of Vikings travel with friends or family, believe it or not. This is the lounge where you can have your before or after dinner drinks, some light dancing. We have a fantastic piano player. We do trivia here. We do port talks. We do cooking demonstrations, language lessons. All of this happens here. We bring in-destination performances on board. So all of that onboard enrichment is happening. But remember I told you about all those floor-to-ceiling windows? Well, there's a really good depiction of what that looks like. The Aquavit terraces are al fresco dining, which is really, truly spectacular, especially for the rivers that you're going through, all these amazing locks. So you get to experience, if you want, outdoors on this Aquavit terrace or on the sun deck going through a lock, which is really quite an experience. This is the sun deck where all the scenic river cruising takes place. There's a walking track there. We also have shuffleboard and some putt-putt that you can do on board up there. I want to tell you that there's no porkage fee on Viking. So if you want to go in any of these destinations and grab a bottle of wine, or if perhaps you're on a wine tour, you pick up a bottle of wine, you can bring it right here. The lounge or any of the crew will uncork it for you. There's no fee and you can drink it right here on the sun deck or at dinner if you wish. So it's a really nice advantage. Our staterooms are veranda staterooms, which you're seeing here. Again, super light and bright. A French balcony stateroom, so you're not able to go out on the veranda, but still have that floor-to-ceiling window. And then, of course, we have our veranda suites, which are full 2-room suites. The Explorer's Lounge, which is the highest category on board. There's 2 of them. And then we do have a standard stateroom category. It's on the bottom deck, and it's wider than a porthole, and the elevator does not go there. So if you want, you can always take part of the standard stateroom, and it's very economical and gives you some more money to spend on some of those optional tours. So I had told you that we have lots of river experiences. You can go to Eastern Europe. You can do the Rhine, the Danube. If you always wanted to go to Paris, we have some awesome itineraries in Paris. Paris in the heart of Normandy, Provence, where you can actually combine the two and take a train ride through the countryside all the way from Paris down to Lyon. So there's just so many opportunities. There's the Nile, there's the Mekong. We have Christmas markets. So if you like Christmas, going in the late part of November into early December, you can really take part of some fantastic Christmas markets. So on Viking, right now, what's really exciting is we started on the rivers in 1997. And then in 2015, we started ocean cruising. We're delivering our 7th ship in 2021, and we've won Condé Nast World's Best Ocean Cruise Line ever since we started in 2015. Our cruising on the oceans is 930 passenger vessels. So everything we do is really centered around small ship cruising. And in 2022, we'll be launching the Mississippi River. Yes, it's finally happening. 10 years we've been waiting for this, as well as expedition cruising to not only Antarctica, the Arctic, but also the Great Lakes. So we'll finally be on this side of the pond, and we're really excited about that. So without further ado, Christy, I'm going to pass it back to you. I'm also going to check to see if we have any questions that have popped up.
Thank you. Shannon, that was a really great tour of all of it. Thank you so much.
Great. Excellent. So thank you for your time here tonight too. I appreciate it. Even though
I just want to hit some highlights about what you mentioned, a few things in particular.
Yes.
The way to really enrich any of your vacations is to get all the details taken care of. Shannon mentioned that, you know, if there's something that you really want to do, you should plan for it well in advance. And one of the reasons that I spend extra time working with my clients is to find out what was the motivation to pick this destination. And sometimes it's their love of art or history or what have you. And knowing those things about my client, I will give them my recommendations on what to plan in advance that syncs up with those interests. So not only
Christy,
tackling
I
kind of
always say that's like the passion point. So identify
It
what
is,
your passion
exactly.
points and even like a couple traveling, right? They may be traveling and have two different passion points. So allowing, you know, you to be able to get into those passion points and know he likes history or she likes history and she likes food or he likes food or what have you, or art. Then it's so great to actually, like you said, curate that way in advance, especially on Viking, because we sell out of everything.
You do, and it's because traveling with like-minded people who are interested in history and architecture and art, and in a place like Northern Europe, there's so much engineering going on. It's really fascinating stuff. Not to mention all the food, like you said, and picking up that bottle of wine in every port. There's so many things to make sure you can really enrich your trip in a way that makes it even more valuable to you. So when I work with my clients, that's a huge part of my getting to know you and getting to know what kind of trip you want to take. Plus, whether or not you really want to be active, you want to venture out on your own. And also to talk about things like, geez, you've already spent the effort to cross the pond, right? To go to Europe. Is there something else you want to do? This trip, this particular itinerary, but really all of them, it's so easy to tack on Paris for a couple of days. So easy. Or Copenhagen. I mean, other wonderful places that are just a stone's throw from Amsterdam, in this case, where it starts and ends. It's so easy to add that. And with it, when I work with my clients, I always take care of all the logistics, right? We take care of, if you're booking with Viking, we take care of the air, the transfers, all the little parts and pieces, so that you have one point of contact, one person who's being your advocate for you to really put together a really robust trip. That's so much a piece of what I do. I do want to point out too that we're having a similar presentation to this at the end of the month. Shannon's going to do it again for us, and we're going to do the Provence and Lyon trip, which is France, kind of focused. And that too is just an amazing itinerary. So we're going to talk about that later in the month. I believe it's on the 27th.
Yes, we will.
And I did want to make particular mention, if you didn't notice it in the chat box, I'm offering an event promotion, if you will, for anybody who's been here tonight and who's interested in booking between now and the end of September for any 7-night or better Viking cruise for 2 for 2021 and 2022. I'm offering you a $150 discount towards your cruise. So that is on top of whatever promotions that may be happening in market with Viking at the time. And I do monitor those as well. So it's a great way to kind of get all the goodies you want and an extra promotional perk here and there. So there's a lot going on.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah, it's a lot to take into. I know some of you guys who are on the call tonight have been on Viking, so you knew kind of what to expect experience-wise. Those of you who maybe have cruised but have not river cruised, Shannon really pointed out at the beginning some of the key differences. It's a small ship, so the service is top shelf. You're really going to get much more attention than you would on a ship that carries, 5,000 people. This has got less than 200 people. So service is excellent. You're going to get small ports and quaint cities because big ships can't go to those places, generally speaking. A lot more inclusions than now with prices. So there's nothing hidden. When I give you a price on these cruises, it really is all those great things included. Like she said, there's beer and wine with dinner, the Wi-Fi is included, always an excursion in every port. So there's a lot of value for your vacation dollar with Viking. And it's really important to know that. There are other brands out there people have heard of. This is a really great brand to invest your vacation dollars in because you'll get so much out of it. It's just chock full of a great experience and a great service and more, and so many people who Viking come back, right? There's a wonderful number about return clients,
right.
And it's because they really value what they've gotten with Viking.
Yes, and with that experience, the good news is that now that we're on the most waters than any other cruise line, you can take that Viking way that we travel and you can then do it by ocean or expedition or the Great Lakes. So we have a lot of different other opportunities for you, but it is so true. Everybody that I meet, they're like, oh, this is my 5th or my 6th Viking. And so I really get excited about that because there is so much consistency and continuity throughout the experience that it just becomes something you really don't want to leave behind and try something new. You know that you're going to get that terrific travel experience. And trust me, when you're going this far, you want to make sure that you're choosing the right way to travel.
That's
so
right.
If traveling with children is not for you, then we are for you because
right.
children are allowed on board. I think I forgot to mention that very fun fact. That is one no casinos, no water slides, none of that there. Experience.
So I do want to open it up to everybody who's on the call. I had a chance to chat with Diane and Dawn and Meryl, but I didn't get a chance to chat with Shelley before we started tonight. But I did want to offer all of you an opportunity to unmute yourselves, ask a question, or type something in the chat box. But by all means, if you advance to the next slide, Shannon, you can see all the ways you can connect with me. That's me, my email, my phone number, and my various social media. Feel free to connect with me. I will email all of you as just a courtesy follow-up tonight, remind you about our promotion, and give you a chance to stay connected.
Yes, and also too, Christy, all of our new promotions just came out. So before you email everybody, I'm going to send you all of the new promotions and some additional promotional materials, the new Viking brochure that just came out in August. We also have a risk-free guarantee program that we
please mention that if you don't mind.
Officially renewed, and the risk-free guarantee is basically you can book with us. At this time, in the month of August, we've had this program since the inception of the pandemic, which allows you to be able to book with us and have peace of mind. You can cancel for any reason up until 24 hours prior to departure, and we will give you a future cruise voucher. If you haven't paid us in full, if you're not in full penalty, you can also just choose to take the minimal cancellation penalties, which is $100 per person, and also get your money back. So it gives you the flexibility to choose which way you want to go, but ultimately you will have the choice to not lose any money and take the future cruise voucher.
Exactly. Yeah. There are a lot of questions we all have about travel in the future, and the landscape changes all the time. I think it'll be some time yet before we feel confident to go forward and jet to the other side of the world. But the good news is that planning now doesn't hurt. And in fact, it helps. Shannon also spoke about the proclivity for these trips to book up early. And because so many people, some of you even on this call, had trips that were canceled from this year. So a lot of popular trips, a lot of popular departure dates are already booking up for next spring, on this itinerary and on other itineraries. So if you
it's unbelievable, Christy, it's unbelievable.
You have something in mind, by all means, raise a hand. Let me help you put a pin in something and let's talk about it.
Yeah, for our Mississippi product, it's almost all sold out for 2022, believe it or not.
That's amazing.
And
That's amazing.
for the Rhine and for the Danube, being that they're so popular, those also go incredibly fast as well. We're about 60% full for the 2021 season. So if are you looking at it, you have the ability to book with the peace of mind policy and at the most terrific fairs I've seen in such a long time, plus Christy's offer here tonight. Anyway, I don't want to make it. I know, Christy, you said, please, I don't want you to feel like we're trying to sell something here tonight.
We're actually not.
This is really just information and knowledge to know that these are selling. So if it is something you're really interested in, definitely contact Christy. So Christy, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Shannon. I mean, honestly, my best clients are my most educated clients. It's the ones that I've had the opportunity to give them the tips and the tricks. I mean, your presentation was full of little nuggets of wisdom, and I do that too with my clients. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to speak up.
Oh, I think Diane has one. It looks like her hand's raised.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So my question is, and I don't know, you don't have a glass ball to look in it at this point, but as far as the pandemic, do you see the restaurants or the buffets step changing going forward?
Yeah. So on our river ships, the good news is that we do have a small buffet on the Aquavit Terrace, but everything else is in the restaurant. So it's all open seated dining. What I can tell you is that we haven't launched any of our plans yet. And the reason being is because as we're working on them behind the scenes, we're realizing that so many people are going out and then they're changing them. So we're being very cautious when we announce them. We're not going to be sailing through September at this point now, and we'll be waiting to find out about what's going to happen with October. What I can tell you is I was on a call on Monday and with our VP, and she was like, I never knew this, but all of the Viking staterooms across our entire fleet all have their own ventilation system.
Yes, they do.
So it's very interesting because a lot of the cruise lines right now are trying to figure out ways to put in lots of different technology to kill the bacteria and all the germs and the viruses. For us, actually, it's not an issue. The other thing is that we have on board so many safety, healthy, and protocols already in place. We're working with the CDC, with CLIA, with ASTA, with all the different guidelines out there to make sure we are way above and beyond. But I will say that Viking was the first cruise line to actually cancel all of their sailings right when the pandemic happened. And literally, our founder, Torstein Hagen, got on the phone with all of us, and he was like on a call, and he said, I just want you to know the most important thing is our crew, our travelers, and the travel experience. So if we can't keep the crew and the travelers safe and deliver the Viking travel experience, we won't sail. So we are going to put together so many things that are in place that never jeopardize any of those three things.
Okay.
And Diane, I've been on another similar call, and they are absolutely including, cruise lines generally speaking, are including among their proposals to the various agencies that need to approve things, what to do about buffets. And most of them are excluding the buffet that we traditionally think of and associate with a cruise ship.
Right.
It will be in a different fashion. What that turns out to be is yet to be determined, but they are considering a lot of those interactions in their proposals before they're getting their ducks in a row.
Yeah,
but that is
like
definitely among those things.
Still be intact, but table service.
Right.
So there's, just like when we walk into any of the stores now with the plastic partitions and all that, likely that will come into play. I actually think it's one of the safest ways to travel, and it's so clean to begin with. So we'll see. But I know for Viking, we I don't know how to say it other than we don't mess around. So we're not gonna, we are being so cautious on releasing any data. I heard that maybe sometime in September, we're going to release to the public and to our Vikings, but we'll see if that even happens.
Right.
Okay.
Viking doesn't, like Christy will tell you, we haven't changed our policy once since the beginning of this epidemic. Like when we go out and that's what we stick with. So I'm sure that's playing a role into this. But thank you all so much for staying online here with us. And Christy, once again, I can't thank you enough for allowing me to be here tonight.
I appreciate you doing this a second time because we tried to do it last week and it didn't really work. I'm glad everybody had a chance to sit in with us. And like I said, if you have questions or whatnot, I'm here. That's what I'm here for. That's what I do.
And you are fabulous. So, okay, well, thank you, everyone. I'm going to end the presentation now, and hopefully we'll see you on our upcoming France presentation.
That's right. Have a great night, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.